You know the routine. You stay late, you refine the strategy, you deliver high-impact work. You expect that excellence to translate directly into a promotion. But instead of a reward, the office environment shifts. Your manager suddenly insists on reviewing every minor email. You find yourself excluded from key decision-making meetings, and your performance review focuses on vague critiques of your team presence rather than your data-backed results. This reveals a strange contradiction in corporate life. Companies spend millions to recruit elite talent, yet they frequently penalize the very people who deliver the most value. In high-pressure hierarchies, your competence often makes you a direct threat to the person meant to be mentoring you. To understand this tension, look at France in 1661. Finance Minister Nicolas Fouquet hosted a party for King Louis XIV that was meant to be a flawless showcase of loyalty. Through this lavish display of fireworks and fine dining, Fouquet intended to prove his value to the crown. The plan backfired. Days later, Louis had Fouquet arrested on fabricated charges and sentenced to life in prison. Fouquet failed to account for the king's pride. By displaying his own brilliance and resources so openly, he made the monarch look dull and feel insecure. This historical disaster is the basis for the first law in Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power: never outshine the master. Raw skill is rarely enough to ensure success. Without the political intelligence to manage the ego of those above you, your excellence becomes a liability. It's tempting to think this behavior belongs to a 17th century court, but the same mechanics apply to a modern middle manager. Their formal title masks deep imposter syndrome. When a subordinate below begins to glow too brightly, it triggers status anxiety. If you execute a project without help or offer a public correction, you stop being a resource. You become an existential threat to their self-esteem. Micromanagement and sudden social distance function as defensive reflexes. Your boss is attempting to regain a sense of control by suppressing the person who makes them feel small. To an insecure leader, an employee's confidence feels like a challenge, and their results feel like an attack. You can diagnose an intimidated boss by watching for two specific patterns. First, they gatekeep, blocking your access to senior leadership. Second, they repackage your ideas, waiting for you to speak in private, only to present your concepts as their own in the next staff meeting. You may also receive vague, non-actionable criticism. When a manager says something feels off about your perfect report, they are likely using a placeholder for the actual issue, their discomfort with your strength. High performance is secondary if it damages the leader's ego. The idea that merit always wins ignores the reality of human insecurity. Your professional security is tied directly to how superior your manager feels in their own intelligence and charm. Survival requires shifting your focus. You must manage their psychological needs as meticulously as you manage the department's bottom line. Shifting focus doesn't mean killing your ambition or acting incompetent just to stay employed. Research shows that purely trying to please a mediocre boss leads to career stagnation. You become invisible to those making promotion decisions. The solution is strategic ego management. This involves using social intelligence to bypass their insecurities without diminishing your value. You are learning to neutralize the threat you represent so that your results can finally be seen clearly. This playbook begins with Tactic 1, dimming the light. When you have a correction or a better idea, frame it as a collaborative inquiry. Asking, "How do you think this fits with your vision?" is much safer than pointing out a flaw directly. Tactic 2, sharing the glory. Shift your vocabulary from I to we. Actively credit your manager's strategic oversight when you hit a major milestone, particularly when senior leaders are listening. Tactic 3, restoring control. Micromanagers are driven by the fear of being out of the loop. Settle their nerves by over-communicating and providing constant updates before they feel the need to hover. These tactics shift your internal brand. You stop being a dangerous competitor and become an indispensable partner who makes the manager look effective. Proactively managing a leader's ego is an exercise of control. When the person above you feels secure and validated in your presence, they stop obstructing your progress and start accelerating your ascent.